Happy Homebrew Wednesday, everyone. It's been too long since I've done a video, and I've been busy with beer events, busy with life in general, and busy brewing a lot of beer. So, thought I'd just do a little video on what I've been up to, what I've been doing in the month of September, which has been quite busy. So, right now I'm drinking a beer I brewed up on September 1st. This was my Labor Day beer day, or brew, Hoppy Pale Ale. I used some malt that I've been curious about using for a while, and I finally found some. There's only one homebrew shop in all San Diego County that I'm aware of that's carrying its Ashburn's mild malt. It's I believe it's a British style, or it's a British malt, base malt. That, I mean, you can use it in mild malts, of course, but I believe it's like one level bond more than like a Golden Promise or a Maris Otter. So it's supposed to be just like a little more toastier. So I wanted to use that along with the Simpsons Golden Naked Oats in a beer, and just keep it really basic with the malt, but then let the hops shine. So I did a 4.5% hoppy pale ale. Mashed it pretty high. Used just those two malts, and mashing high. I figured I'd get enough malt character to hold up to like a 35, 45, somewhere in that range IBU type of pale ale. Hopped with Citra, Mosaic, Nelson. And I threw in some Belma late and dry hopped with Belma as well, along with Citra and Amarillo. I think I had Amarillo in there too. I should check my recipe ahead of time. But anyway, all the fun hops, kind of cheater hops, if you will, all the popular ones to drink this. So it turned out really well. I mean, you don't need to use crystal malt in this type of beer if you have a really good quality base malt and you mash high enough. And I'd even mash high enough if I was using some crystal malts, but that's the one time I do like to use crystal malts, is these low alcohol beers that are, around maybe 5.5 and below. I would say once you're approaching that, you're kind of getting high enough where you don't really need them at all. I decided to go against using that, which I have in the past used a little bit of like Crystal 10 or 15 or 20 to add some body and a little bit of sweetness. So pretty happy with how this turned out. And I brewed up my Belgian Quad. Same recipe as the last one I made a couple years ago. I just fermented it out with a 530 Abbey Ale 4 yeast from White Labs. That's their platinum strain, or I think it was July, August. And I really like that yeast, and I used that at first to brew Belgian Pale Ale. Never brewed a Belgian Pale Ale before, but I entered into a couple competitions and did pretty well. One was a Society of Barley Engineers competition that was open. It was eventually open to all the homebrew clubs throughout San Diego County. I got third in category 16. Scored pretty well. I got 37 to 38. The low score was a 35. It was nice to get high scores from the higher ranked judges. Like I got a national judge and a certified judge doing a 37 and 38, whereas the recognized, which means I don't think they've passed their test yet, or they've only passed one of the tests. Not as experienced, gave me the lower score there. And then the other one was the Ramona homebrew competition that was partnered up with Chuck Gallick. They did a weird thing where they combined a bunch of categories because there wasn't a whole lot of entries. So I was in the, I guess they called it Belgian Germanic category. Got fourth out of the top 3, which is pretty good considering there was more than just category 16. So once again, the higher certified judge gave me 37 versus the apprentice of 33. So pretty happy, first time brewing a Belgian Pale Ale, and based on what the judges want for the style, was maybe not quite enough spiciness, and that's either me needing to use maybe a little bit more Saaz hops, or just using a more spicy yeast strain, which I think would be, I think I used enough hops. I just maybe just use a more traditional Belgian yeast strain to get a little bit more spicy character for them, if we're to do again. I thought the beer turned out great. It was drinking great. Drank a ton of it. It went really quick. So maybe I'll just keep it that way and just not worry about competition scores. But it's always fun to get feedback. Lets me know I'm doing a good job as far as attempting a new style, and my process is good enough, and not a whole lot of changes that I need to make there. Just maybe slight tweaks in the recipe for, or at least the Belgian Pale Ale. So the other thing I want to talk about is a project I have going on. I'm going to show some footage of that beer, the quad that's fermenting, and then my new addition to my homebrew equipment. So I'll show some video of that. But I want to talk about this project, and you'll see that in the video. It's a sour ale project I'm doing with a friend of mine who's down and further closer to downtown San Diego, down in North Park, and we decided to get together and brew up a sour ale, and just went a lot of back and forth figuring out what type of beer we're going to do. So we did a sort of pseudo lambic mash, you know, a straight 60-40 Belgian Pilsner malt to wheat malt, and we added oats as we got up to a boil, you know, and I think we took them out around 190 degrees to get all those starches into the kettle for the Brett to break down over time. So we grew up dregs from commercial beers. I grew up commercial strains of Y-yeast lactobacillus. I had the 535 lactobacillus and their lactobacillus brevis strains. Grew those up. I grew up some dregs from Crooked Staves VA and Surette. And then I grew up and combined two strains of Brett Trois and Brett Dre, which are kind of pretty similar strains, apparently. More of that stone fruit tropical character come from them. And then we had some dregs from Sante Adaris. They're up in Northern California, and we grew up some of their Lucy Bell. And that's kind of like a funky saison, funky farmhouse ale. So we're kind of doing an American-style sour with only lactobacillus and Brettanomyces. We wanted to keep away Pediococcus to hope to kind of get this beer ready sooner, maybe more like 9 months than like 14 months. But we'll see how it progresses. And a week from now I'll be down, or at least a week from this recording, I'll go down to his house. We'll brew up another 10 plus gallons. I think we ended up with 12 gallons total. We each took home, or we brewed at my house. He took home 6 gallons. I have 6 gallons. We're fermenting them a little different temperatures, so I think the beer might turn out a little different. We kind of approximated the amount of each of the bacteria and Brett and dregs we pitched in. So we have roughly the same blend going in each fermenter, but I think the difference is in fermentation. The fact that I'm using an airlock, he just put foil over it, so you can create different pressure with the yeast and what that does. So we'll probably get slightly different characteristics between the two beers, which is what we want. We want to eventually come away with 20 gallons of beer to blend. So the next batch we're going to mash higher, same base recipe, still pitch some lactobacillus, maybe some Brett, but also throw in some different dregs thrown up too. So we'll have different cultures going into the second batch of beer. So it's going to be a fun project, and it's going to be fun to have 20 gallons of sour beer to blend in the future. So that's what's going on with me right now. I might be brewing very soon. I have a lot of hops I need to use up, as maybe a lot of you follow any of the hop growers and the guys that are doing the processing of the hops and the hops brokers. The new 2014 crop is upon us. I think you can get whole leaf right now. They're probably pelletizing a lot of the hops that have been picked. So the 2014 crops are going to be out here before we know it. And I got a lot of older hops I need to use up. So I'll probably brew up an IPA with an extreme amount of hops soon and do that. The quad I brewed up is going to go into my Virgin American Oak barrel, which has been beerless for a long time. So hopefully I haven't grown any mold inside. I've been just using storage tablets with water in there. So hopefully that will be okay. And then same with my bourbon barrel, which I want to get my English barley wine into. So I need to rebrew up that. I have the yeast, just need to make a big starter, do a double mash brew day, and get that done in one day and see how that goes. So temperature's been really, really hot here, so it's been not fun brewing, and especially when it comes down to chilling the beer. Taking a long time, taking a lot of ice. So I'm hoping for cooler temperatures in the future. But I mean, it makes using the chest freezer easy, but temps have been too warm, which is a bummer. It's been really hot brewing. But yeah, long overdue update. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time. Alright guys, so here's the latest projects going on and what we have here as I uncover it. It's hard to tell right now, but this is the very early stages of a sour project I'm working on. And so I have my chest freezer with a different beer in there now, so I'm just using an old kettle. I got some water in there. There's a ice water bottle I have in there. I just want to keep the temperature of this, below room temp, which has been pretty warm lately. So I've just given you the details on this project in the video before. So this one's going on. It's currently at around 10:04, 10:05, so it's pretty well attenuated already with all that Breton bacteria and a little bit of Saison yeast in there. So that one's going here in the music room, fermenting away. So it's cleared out up top, so the Brett's gonna hopefully start taking over and get it probably a few more gravity points down. This beer could finish at 1-0, so hopefully the lactobacillus kind of kicks up too. I'd like it to be a little more tart than it currently is, but it's only a weekend and I'm pretty happy with it. So let's move on to the garage. So we're in the garage now. It's 88 degrees in here. It's a little cooler than it has been. Got some Giga yeast farmhouse ale that I'm growing up from a friend of mine, but don't want to give away the details because that is actually a professional pitch of that. And then here is the quad, which is not fermenting down as much as I'd like, but the airlock is kind of up, so I think it's still maybe slowly working away. Hopefully I don't have to pitch more yeast on that, because there's no way I'm going to have that beer finish at 10:30 before it goes in the barrel. So hopefully I don't have to repitch and it's just a slow worker. But yeah, excited how that's tasting. It's got a real nice grape character to it that I like in Rochefort and Vestletteren. So I like how it's tasting. It just needs to drop down the sugar levels, and I want it to be somewhere in the mid-20s when it goes into the barrel. So hopefully we'll get there and it'll drop down maybe another like 5 points here in the next several weeks as I let it go here in primary. But so far so good, just a little concerns with that. So yeah, that's in the chest freezer. So now I'm going to show you the new addition over here. And this is the Keyser I bought. Keyser meaning chest freezer kegerator. So I bought this from a friend. Let's get all the junk off on top here. So right now it's set for four taps here, and I have my lactobacillus going in these two growlers. Since this garage is so warm and it's been like towards the 90s, upper 80s, lactobacillus has been loving it in here. So I got two different Y yeast strains fermenting away. Let me show you the inside of this Keyser. It comes with really nice Perlick faucets. I don't know the part number on those, but those are quality stainless steel faucets. I only currently have 2 beers on draft, double coconut IPA and my stout with coffee, macadamia nuts, and coconut. But this chest freezer I believe can fit easily 8 kegs, just not even on the stump over here, just in the main compartment area. I don't even have 8 kegs, so I have a lot of room to expand. I still need to get a third CO2 tank so I can run off that manifold, and I probably will switch out that barb for a threaded connection too. So I still have to make some modifications, and I'm running this off my BrewBit controller right now too. So that's what's nice about the BrewBit. It runs 2 different temperature probes. So I got the Keyser down, in the upper 30s, and then I can control my fermentation in the other one. I do have another temperature controller that eventually will go in here if I get a second chest freezer fermentation. But right now, yeah, I got a really good deal on this setup, and it's not the prettiest looking thing, but it's working for me and allows me to have additional beers on draft. So we're going to go in the house and I'll show you what I did to my kegerator. Okay, so here's the kegerator, and here's what I added. I didn't know about this. I was originally going to just drill an additional hole for a second tap. What I found it was this extender at crap. It's a local company. It's I can't remember the name of the company. I'll try to put the down on the screen. But I got this tap tower extender
This is for like a 3-inch tower, and just put on this Perlick flow control. So if you can see right here, it's got a little lever that you can push down and up, and that will kind of restrict the flow rate through the faucet. So I ripped out all my old draft tubing, put in new lines, cleaned the lines. So currently I have a Hoppy Pale Ale on this tap, and then my Berliner Weiss, which is, you know, pretty highly carbonated beer, and I'll put a lot of my sours on this Perlick line with the flow control, and hopefully that'll help me fill growlers. And I need to get a proper tap handle. That's just the one that came with the kegerator. So hopefully get like a custom-made faucet for that. So that's on the kegging side and the cooling side. That's been my latest addition. So I currently have 4 beers on draft. How awesome is that? And hopefully, you know, I'll get some more kegs in the future and get some more, just brew a bit more and have some more beers on draft.